Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of BC Buckets. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Colin, today we're talking about none other than G League Ignite, a program that went. I've seen different records. I'm going to go with 4-32 as their record
Give
on
them the
the
benefit of the doubt.
The game that I watched, or I watched a couple games, but the one that I remember watching the most in depth was against the Cleveland Charge, and at the time they were 4-10. So I'm not sure. It seems like they've gone downhill, or they went downhill very fast. In fact, here, let me share my screen here.
I need to know how many minutes Norris Cole got
Norris Cole was the point guard, and I just
per game. I need to know how many minutes he had.
So here it is. This has 6 wins on it, so maybe they ended with 6. But as you can see, not good from G League.
Do they have stats on that?
What do you mean? Do they have stats?
Like, can you go to Norris Cole and see how many minutes he played?
I'm sure I can.
I just need to know. Oh yeah, this is
19.7. Shot 34.5% from the field.
You got 35-year-old Norris Cole out here.
Yeah. So, anyways,
minutes a game.
G League Ignite did not have a good year. Actually, had the worst year, and now it is dissolving. So, rest in peace to G League Ignite. This will be the last time we talk about them. But we have 4 players, 4 prospects to talk about from this group: Ron Holland, Matas Buzelis, Tyler Smith, and Izan Almansa.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about them in order. We'll just go one at a time. We both, I believe, have Ron Holland as the best of these 4 players, correct?
Yeah, it has to be.
Okay, has to be. Okay. So we'll talk about him first. Ron Holland, G League Ignite, 6'7", almost 19 years old, 29 games, played 32 minutes per, 19.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.5 steals, 1 block, 3.2 turnovers, 46% from the field, 24% from 3, and 73% from the line. Colin, what do you like most about Ron Holland?
I think the only thing that sounds negative.
That sounds very negative.
The thing I love the most about him, there we go,
is it's like someone asks you what you love about your mom. You're like, the only thing I love about her is
is his tremendous upside. I think he has.
It's very broad.
Well, I think like if we compare him to like Stephon Castle, Reed Shepard, Topic, any of those guys outside of Alexander Starr, he could have like the second highest.
I agree.
Upside in this draft, and I think that's really important. The problem comes is why, like, what he has to do to get there. But we'll start with the positives. Defense 1 through 4, he can guard that and will be guarded. Like, and he might be able to stretch to some smaller 5s. Like, this dude can play defense. He can get sloppy sometimes, but his athleticism he is an athlete. Tip passes, chase down blocks, which is the biggest thing. Add on the playmaking to that, and you got Topic. What Topic wants to be, a defender. We just keep throwing jabs at Topic. I'm sorry. you got a defender that can play make and is an athlete. So there you go. And Topic and him both can't shoot. So those are the negatives. But I think that, like I said, the biggest thing is his upside, and the tools that he has make it to where I can kind of see it coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, as a prospect, I might not be the highest on him, but I admit, just like you, like outside of Sarr, he probably has. He's one of the only guys in this class, which sounds bad because I'm probably gonna be wrong, right? Because who knew?
Everyone's gonna be wrong.
Yeah, because who knew Jokic or Gobert or Draymond were gonna be all-stars at some point? But like, regardless, like he seems like one of the only guys I could see as being an all-star in this class.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's if everything hits. Now, defensively, the intensity, the motor, the athleticism, the wingspan, he gets up into ball handlers really well. I could just see him really killing wings, like just really not letting them get going here. I would love to see, and I will watch a lot of him in terms of what he does on the ball against wings, like on the perimeter, and he just forces turnovers at a really high rate. So I love that. And I also think he can be a good off-ball defender, come over, block shots, come over and deflect passes. So Ron Holland's defense is where you start, which is is great considering they went 4-32 this year. So like he very easily could have checked out. Like he very easily could
Yeah,
have been like,
that's a good point,
I
actually.
don't feel like doing this anymore. And he just kept defending. So that to me speaks of a guy that likes defending and enjoys basketball and enjoys doing what he does and is focused on development. So I love that. And then building off that, the athleticism aspect of it, he had 44 dunks in 29 games. Like this is a dude in transition, is getting to the basket, getting fouled, really, really a terror there, as both a lob threat and honestly with the ball in his hands, he's really tough with a head of steam. Like once he gets
Yeah,
downhill, you're
yeah.
not stopping him. So those two are clear strengths. And then I also have written down he's a good rebounder. I think that should be a pretty significant strength at the next
Almost 7
level.
rebounds a game.
Yeah.
So, going to weaknesses, I think the obvious thing is the shooting. We can talk about whether we buy a shot later. But I think another thing that is a negative is his finishing. Despite him being really big and athletic, 53% is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. But when you're playing against the G League with no bigs, really, I think
That's a little unfair. But
what do you mean
yes,
it's a little unfair.
the G League doesn't have any bigs.
I mean, like the dude's 6'7" and he gets to the basket at will, and he's only finished at 50%. I'm just saying, like, I feel like he could be better at that.
Yeah, he's more than anything. I think he can be really out of control on
Yes,
drives. Like that's where and you mentioned the playmaking, which I like, but like he can really quickly get like some tunnel vision.
Yeah,
and, like the out of control aspect of it could really, really show up in terms of like him being like a good ball handler, but definitely someone who I don't want to be a secondary creator.
I didn't knock him for that, only because the dude came from high school and then was like, "Oh, Norris Cole is your point guard. I guess I should become point guard now." Like literally, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So, I just think that he'll grow into it, and I think that the strides that he has made almost kind of makes up for the holes that are there, because there's definite holes, like you said, he can get that control, but I think you're not going to go from high school to the G League and overnight be one of the best passers in the G League.
Yeah, and he was a 5-star guy coming out of high school. I wish he would have gone to college so we could have gotten a better look at him. Instead of playing in whatever trash he just played in. I need to see him drive left a little bit more because a lot of stuff is right-handed dominant right now. But off the ball, like he's definitely a guy you can see like catching it and just ripping and going and getting to the basket. So I love that. The 3-point shooting, I can't.
Here we go.
At this moment, between him, Buzelis, Topic, who else can't shoot?
Ethan, how do you
Castle? We won't even mention Castle or Ethan yet. But like between Castle, Topic, and Buzelis and Holland, I have the least amount of faith in Holland to be a good 3-point shooter.
Yes, but I would argue that between all of them, I think he'd have to have the lowest percentage to get the most time on the floor.
Like it matters the least amount to him.
Yeah. So like, I agree. So I've written down here, if he can get to 33%, then this dude's going to be an animal. Because of what he can do attacking.
I agree.
On closeouts. And not only that, if he has the ball in his hands, guys are going to have to respect him.
I agree.
And that opens up a lot. Now, I definitely agree with you. The shot doesn't look great, and he only shot 73% from the line.
He shot 9 of 25 at the combine. Yeah. It was the worst of I think the 16 players or something.
No, I think what's his name? Ryan Dunn shot worse.
Oh, don't. Well, the thing is, they had a star drill and then they had a regular catch and shoot drill. I don't remember.
Okay, was I getting confused on one? Okay.
One of them, Holland shot was 9 of 25, which is abysmal. 36% on uncontested catch and shoot threes is abysmal. So I'm not there. Maybe it comes around, but like I think ultimately, like I don't have this as a comp, but like Aaron Gordon still to this day is not a great shooter. Like teams still leave him open in the playoffs. Like that's what it's going to be at the best case scenario to me. So, anything else besides comps?
No. Are we doing comps now? You want to end everyone with comps?
No, we can just do comps.
All right, my single comp right here, Andre Iguodala.
I have that down as well. That's one of mine. Thought you got me with that.
I thought I did.
Damn it. Go ahead. I'll let you.
I just think that would be the type of player if he's not able to develop a really, really good shot. Obviously, I don't think he will, but Andre Iguodala was never a shooter, right? He was just a very smart player who defended at a very high level, very athletic, and made things happen. I think that's what he can be, and almost might be just his floor in general is like an Andre Iguodala type player. Maybe not to the same caliber in terms of eliteness that Iguodala was, but in terms of the role that he filled, especially on those Golden State teams, I think that might be the minimum of what he'll do in this league.
Yeah. I have Andre Iguodala as well. I have 3 more. What about Derrick Jones Jr.? Is that just...
I don't like that.
Okay, cool.
When I think Derrick Jones Jr., all I think of is just dunk.
As a lob threat.
Yeah,
type.
that's all I think.
Okay. We'll leave that out. We'll trim that out. What about... I don't love this.
Just name them. We're just gonna talk them through. We're talking about
Coulibaly. Defensive monster.
I feel like you just have to want a reason to say his name sometimes.
You
loved him as a prospect last year.
Well, the thing is, I didn't love him. I thought I loved him more. Like when I went back and looked at my ratings from last year, I was like, why did I only had him as like 12th on my board? I was like, that seems low. So, but anyways, Coulibaly defensively, I see some similarities. Both fairly young. Neither one can really shoot. But yeah, I can see both of them can handle the ball a bit, pass the ball. Raw.
Maybe I think Coulibaly is a little bit more. He's not better defensively, but he's a little bit more of a freak of nature, if that makes sense.
Okay. Last one, which also is tied to a question.
Okay.
Who do you have as a better prospect? I'm gonna go back to last year's draft.
Okay.
Ron Holland or Tari Eason?
Ron Holland or Tari Eason?
I'm
going to say Ron Holland because of the playmaking ability.
2 years ago draft. Sorry.
I actually had, there was I can't remember his name for some reason. Ford, I think in the G League as well, last year, who I thought he was a lot like. That was later though. Gosh, I'm not
going to see Sissoko. Leonard Miller?
Yes, Leonard Miller.
Yeah.
I thought he was a lot like Leonard Miller.
That's actually a good. That's a pretty good comp right there.
In terms of prospect comp, I think that's kind of how he is. Yeah. Now I think that his upside is a little bit higher, and he's already better defensively. But in terms of playmaking and stuff, I think they're pretty similar.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm all the way there with Holland's playmaking. The way I know he had the ball in his hands, but like I don't know if I
think I'm there just purely from how young he is and how it happened.
Yeah. To answer my own question, I would have Tari as a better prospect, but Holland much better upside.
Okay.
Like upside wise, like if it hits, it hits. Like Holland's there.
Yeah.
Eason always was a great. I loved him as like the 9th player in the draft. Tari Eason, I loved as the 9th pick in the draft. That was a phenomenal pick.
Yeah.
So, but Holland again potentially could be an all-star. All right, let's move on. Matas Buzelis, G League Ignite, played his high school ball at Sunrise Christian, which was a very high-level high school program. Let me put the name in right now. Buzelis. 19 and a half years old, 6'9", 6'10". It depends where you look. I know he's listed at 6'11", but
I got 6'10", 6'10".
6'10", 6'10".
Yeah.
Oh, 6'10" wingspan you were saying as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Buzelis measured, but see, the thing is, without shoes, he measured 6'9".
Well, good thing you wear shoes when you play basketball.
Well, Colin, it's a good way to get everybody on the same playing field for height. Regardless, let's say 6'10". 26 games, 32 minutes per game, 14.5 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. I have 6.9 on here twice. 44.5% from the field, 27% from 3, 68% free throw line. The moment I completely bought into Matas Buzelis, you know what I'm going to say?
Maybe, I don't know.
Was the Rising Stars games when he played against Chet, Jabari, Brandon, Wemby, all these players in the NBA, and he was really, really good.
Yeah.
And he hit the game winner against Wemby's team to beat Wemby.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
Who is this guy?
This guy is going to be the next great player. Which, why it really pains me to say, I'm not very high on him.
Really?
I'm not low, but
Yeah.
I'm not top 5. I don't see top 5 here.
I don't see top 5, but I think that's more because I'm concerned about his floor, but I think his ceiling is top 3, top 4.
Okay.
Like I think if certain things don't hit, he's just not going to be in the league. Like I think that's very possible. But when you talk about the things that you liked in that Rising Stars game, like watching him starting out during our yearly scouting, it was like, okay, this dude's really good in transition. And then you're like, oh, that's all he is. And then you're like, oh, this dude's really good at creating out of transition. And then you go, oh, this guy's really good at finishing. Obviously, there's some concerns with that. But in terms of floaters, hooks, dunks, like touch around the rim, really good. And not only that, I know his shooting sucks, 26%, but I like the way his shot looks a lot. And it's really weird because I like out of the 3 guys that we've talked about tonight, in Topic and Ron Holland, and I guess Stephon Castle to a certain extent, like his shot looks the best to me,
For sure.
in terms of a believable shot. So I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be really good. And then you start to get into the things that are a little bit worse, which is like the handle can get out of control, a little loose. Finishing is not super great because of his physicality. And then team defense is good, but when he gets against smaller guys, and if that's where he's going to kind of have to play because of his position and size, that can be a concern. But his upside, I'm into the upside.
I am into the upside theoretically. I agree with you that the shooting should be fine. He shot well in high school at a very good program.
43% in high school.
Okay. So he shot very good in high school.
I got it written down.
look at me getting upset at you presenting facts.
Yeah.
How dare you do that? No, I do think he will be a passable shooter. So that's off rip, raises his floor, raises his ceiling, raises everything. The more I watched him, the more it felt like that Rising Stars run was a series of mid-range post fades, some athletic plays in terms of, I think he had a dunk or 2 that were like, all right, cool, this guy can play. But ultimately, if I don't want to put too much stock in that, because the more I watched him, the more it's like, I don't think he can drive the basketball to the rim. I hated watching him try to get downhill and try to go finish at the rim. He got knocked off. He's really unorthodox, which isn't a bad thing, but like, he's not just putting his head down, getting to the rim, or getting fouled. Like, it feels like there's always something wrong with it. Like, there's
what he looks like to me when he drives to the rim? A really, really, really long Kyle Anderson.
Okay, yeah. So along those lines, like, it was really unsettling. And so I don't think he has the handle. I don't think he has the assertiveness. He's not strong enough right now. He doesn't get to the line. He had 2 free throws per game, and he's playing 32 minutes per game.
Yeah, that is really bad.
6'10".
That is really bad.
Like, this is, you know what it's almost giving me a little bit of? And I think I was higher on this guy, but like Brandon Miller. Who, remember Brandon Miller?
I love how you just went, I think I'm a little higher on this guy.
No, I think I was higher on Brandon Miller than Buzelis. But like,
no, I know.
I wasn't super high on Miller either. But like, Miller, remember, wasn't a great finisher. Miller struggled to get downhill.
But he's
now Miller had the advantage of being a really, really elite shooter.
Yeah.
And so that's where the problems come in, is like, is he Brandon Miller, but he can't shoot? And so now I'm like, well, hell, I didn't even like Brandon Miller. So now, and I know I'm wrong, Brandon Miller is going to be a really, really freaking good player. But like, now what am I left with? A guy who in theory can do all these things? That's
a good point, actually. That is a good point. He's a really good player in theory.
Like, that's why
he's a guy the Pistons would draft and just have him on their team.
Fifth pick, come on down, Matas Buzelis to the Detroit Pistons. So that's what gets me into my comps. I only have one comp, and it is, quote unquote, Hopefully, Franz Wagner.
Okay, I have that as one. I have MPJ as one.
Oh no,
No,
MPJ is a 45% 3-point shooter.
maybe.
I mean, I see what you mean in terms of like the build. Again,
Yeah,
in theory,
in theory.
I see it.
And then I got Mike Dunleavy Jr.
Oh, okay. You really pulled that one out of the hat, didn't you?
I did. I
You
did
went
pull that
back.
one.
But again, all these players can shoot. Well, Franz
Yes.
not really, but
Yeah,
regardless,
and Franz is a better finisher and look a little bit
stronger.
it's a lot stronger looking, especially. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I never really thought of that when I was watching. I'm just like, oh, this is a prospect that clearly has potential, which he does. But when you think of it in terms of in theory, it makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of things that it's like the guy that does a lot of things really well but doesn't do anything elite. And the elite thing of his is that he does a lot of things really well. And without
No, he is like a lob threat. He is like legitimately like a really good athlete. So
yes,
like I do want to give him that. Like I think that helps him. And if he can shoot, then it changes things. But like how long he's not young for this class, right? He's 19.7 technically. If
I
we're
love
using
when
the decimal ages.
it's so funny to me when you
If we're using decimal ages here. But like
you hate anybody over the age of 19.
everybody over the age of 19. Reed Shepard's 20, so I'm not out on him. But still, it's just like, all right, let's see it. I'll need a few years. I just don't see him as a top 5 pick because like I need a few years to.
Yeah, he kind of gives me not in terms of the way that he plays, but in terms of the outlook of like a Pokusevsky, where you're like, oh, this guy can be something crazy, but he kind of never really was.
Yeah, Buzelis is better than Poku, but I get your point. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting proposition. I again similar to Topic, I'm just here sitting here watching, but I think I have a better handle on Buzelis than Topic. Like Topic, I feel like I'm really missing something here. Buzelis, I think I'm just
Yeah, it's like the
looking at
Dyson
it.
Daniels thing where you're like, oh,
Exactly. It's kind of the Dyson Daniels thing where it's like a lot of this is in theory.
yeah.
And I don't love that. But I might just have to love that in this draft class. Like I might not have a choice. I might just have to be like, hey, let's just draft for theoretical players and see what happens. All right. Next up, Tyler Smith out of Houston, Texas. Played for G League Ignite. And I'll tell you this right now. I'll start this off. I love Tyler Smith. You don't like him?
I knew you were gonna like Tyler Smith. I hate Tyler Smith.
Oh, good. Is this our first disagreement?
I think so.
It might be. I love Tyler Smith.
Do your whole thing. Do your whole thing.
Tyler Smith, 6'9", 19 and a half years old, 27 games, 22 minutes per game, 13 and a half points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 1 block, 1.2 turnovers, 47.5% from the field, 36.4% from 3, 73% from the line.
What'd you say from 3?
36.4.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you said 46.4. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, he can shoot the ball flat out, and it is a beautiful jump shot. And I'm a sucker for a beautiful jump shot that goes in 36% of the time from 3. Like he not only that, and then he catches in the mid range, and he can turn and just shoot over people like easily, comfortably, like without hitting the rim. And then he can dunk. He can get to the rim. He is 7'1" wingspan with a 38-inch vertical. He can play above the rim. Like I offensively, I have almost zero concerns offensively. Like he even had some flashes where it was off the bounce, where he can like just get to the rim to his spots, and you're like, okay, like he's comfortable with tough release or like tough shots. I'm just like, if he shoots 36, if he shoots over 36% from 3, he immediately is like a very valuable 4-man for a lot of teams. I love him. I'm not going to mention any of my questions about him yet. I will let you do that. But like Tyler Smith, I'm in. I'm there.
Wow, your comp's got to be insane.
No, No, they're not. They're just starters.
All right. So he spent 2 years at OTE, then went to the G League. He shoots 36%. Great. All amazing. 36% is not amazing. Like it's
Yes,
not like
it is.
it's not super. No, it's not.
From 3.
It is in the NBA. The
Okay,
NBA, it's really good.
He's using the NBA 3-point line.
He's using the NBA 3-point line, but he's not going against NBA players. He only shoots 73% from the line. You said he can finish at the basket. He has a .185 free throw attempt rate.
Okay,
and he can't finish at the basket at all. He can't. He can't.
He finished 43% of his layups.
Yes, exactly. Any contact and it's done for. He's got to be in the dunker spot. He can't. He's not. I will give you. He can face up. He can face up. He can face up. He can do like a 2-man game. Maybe get some handoffs. Cool. Spot up shooter. Cool. Great. Amazing. Nothing else. Nothing else offensively. He shoots. He can shoot in the corner and dunk.
Oh my gosh.
And defensively, huge problem. Huge problem defensively.
Problem? That seems a bit.
Are you kidding me? I've watched so much tape where this, especially in the pick and roll, he just freezes. No idea where the ball is going. Boom. And yes, those things can be taught, but he's been in developmental leagues for 3 years.
OT doesn't count. We're not counting OT as a developmental league. We're not.
I mean, that's what it is, though.
It's. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
I mean, that's what it is. Now, I know it's not the same type of competition, so I got that. I get what you're saying there. But if I'm looking for a guy that's gonna be something, like he can be a shooter. Like that's what I got his ceiling at. He's a floor spacer.
I think you're underrating his athleticism. That's what
he's an athlete. He can jump really high.
Very good athlete. Now, I'll say this. Defensively, the awareness, the positioning
is terrible. The
game moves fast for him right now.
He might be second worst next to Rob Dillingham.
Good God.
He might be second worst.
He's not the second worst defender in the class. All right.
In the first round, he might be.
He just needs to get more the game moves a little too fast for him right now. All right. You give him some time. He has a 38-inch vertical with a 7'1" wingspan. He'll be fine. He'll figure it out. All right. And he's not a great rebounder yet.
Yeah, right. He has 5 rebounds.
Like physical presence wise, he's not like great. So he needs to be a little tougher. And the layups are a problem. He didn't finish layups. But I don't care. He's gonna dunk everything. So but no, Tyler Smith, I see people having like late first, early second grades. I think
what's your rating? What's your rating on him?
He's gonna be a top 20 player.
What's your rating?
Very, very comfortable.
What's your rating on him?
85.
Blown away. 79 for me.
Oh my gosh.
79.
That's a second round grade.
Yeah, I think he goes. I'd take him like 31st, 30th.
You're sick. He's gonna be a top 20. He might be. We'll see. We'll see where he ends up. But he's gonna be a top 20 player.
Who are your comps?
John Collins, more athletic Cam Johnson, Danilo Gallinari.
Gallinari.
I like the Cam Johnson one, like a more athletic Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson's pretty good. I got Trey Lyles. I mean, honestly, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Let me think.
He reminds me of like a Taylor Hendricks that can't play defense.
Something like that.
That's what he reminds me of.
Something like that. He's going to be able to shoot. That's all I know.
Maybe.
He's going to be able to score the basketball. That's all I need. That's all I need. All I need to see.
Wow.
All right. Last player.
85, huh? Yeah,
Izan Almansa.
We can get. What's your rating on him? Just open it up.
I actually didn't. I didn't rate him. I don't like him at all as a prospect. I don't think he's that equal.
I put him at 74. I got a ceiling as a backup big. No comps. Floor is out of the league.
I have 2 comps. What are they? Paul Reed and Drew Eubanks.
Drew Eubanks is a good one.
So Izan Almansa, for those wondering, from Spain, 6'10", 19 years old, played 32 games, 27.5 minutes, 11.5 points, 7 boards, 1.2 assists, 55.5% from the field, 60% from the free throw line. The thing he does the best is rebound. He can grab the ball. He can rebound the basketball. So I do want to give him that off rip, and I think that can keep him in the league for a while. I think he's a pretty good athlete, 35-inch vertical jump. Like I think which is evident like as a rebounder. Like I think he has a pretty good feel for like space on the court and can like occupy it well. I liked him as a screener. He can finish on the roll pretty well. Decent passer out of that short roll. And yeah, so those are my strengths.
I mean, I love him as a player if he was always going to be in the G League. Like, he can score a lot of ways. He can spin moves, hook shots, dribble handoffs, whatever you soft touch around the rim. He's great at always being in the right place at the right time. MVP of the U18 Spanish team. You know that, Bruni? Did you know that? This dude, he's got a motor. He's going to get the rebounds, like you said. He does a lot of things, all to overcome the one thing that's going to keep him out of this league, and that is his physicality. Like, he's just not imposing.
Yeah.
He has to be a 5, but looks like a 4. He's not super bouncy when he plays. Like, he doesn't really have a second jump. Like, I know he gets the rebounds, but it takes a sec. You know what I mean? It's not something that's incredible. And then when you get to his frame, like, he just gets abused in the post. And the strong, like there was a I forgot what it was. There was something I watched, and it was like a 6'6" player that was just stronger than him.
Was it Kenneth Lofton? Kenneth Lofton would do some damage to Almansa. I'll tell you that much.
Kenneth Lofton would do something crazy. So I mean, and that's what sucks, because I really like him as a player if he was just had some strength to him, and I don't think his frame's gonna allow that. And not only that, yeah, he's 6'10", but it doesn't seem like a very tall.
Well, the problem is he has to play the 5.
Has to play the 5.
I wrote down like as a question when I was doing it, I was like, can he play the 5? Will he play the 5? Because like watching him doesn't feel like you're watching a 5, considering he's not like a great shooter or anything like that.
Right.
So defensively in ball screens, like I could honestly see him start getting hunted in the NBA. Like he's not a shot blocker. He averaged half a block a game in 27.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's like the Buzelis stat where he had 2 free throws per game. Like this is like it's unheard of. Like for half of a block, Reed Shepard was getting 0.9 blocks per game at Kentucky. Like there's just no defensive upside here for me for Almansa, and I don't see him being a good defender at any point. So
yeah, and the 3-point shot's not coming. He was like 3-25 or something on the season.
So that's where you're at. Like I think Paul Reed and Drew Eubanks are better, are decent defenders at least. That's why they're on decent teams and playing roles. But like I don't know where we go from here. Is it like Charles Bassey? But Charles Bassey is 7 foot and like at least big.
And big, yeah. No, I mean, I think the thing that really stops it is just he doesn't have the size. I mean, because I like him otherwise. Like if he was instead of the 220, if he was like a strong like 235, 240, like we're talking something a little bit different here, but that's not what he is.
I think Paul Reed per because I sorted by per 100s and just went through the rebounding, and Paul Reed was pretty high and Drew Eubanks were pretty high, so that's why I think as well I put them up there because they're some of the better rebounders per 100 possessions. So yeah, there's our Izan Almansa thoughts, and that's it. That'll do it. There's the G League Ignite.
Rest in peace.
Four players. Rest in peace, G League Ignite. We hardly knew you. Hopefully, all these players will start just going to college, and we can watch them actually play college basketball. Ron Holland.
Yeah, more than the G League Ignite, I want to see OTE go away. Is that going to go away?
I'm okay with OT because they know what they are. I feel like they're not
you know how much more fun we're going to see the Thompson twins at an actual playing real basketball.
But besides the Thompson twins, they're not like farming these NBA prospects like G League Ignite was.
Oh, they're farming your guy Tyler Smith.
Well, that's when he was like 16, 17. So I don't care what they do 16, 17. As long as they're playing for a college team or an international team, when they're 18 and I can scout them that way, then I'm happy.
Okay.
I don't care what they do before that. So anyways, there y'all are. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave us a like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back with another batch of players and verses and all that stuff in the coming days. So stay tuned for that.